What up there, peeps? I am back. Sorry I didn't do the video yesterday. I'm gonna do it something came up. But today, I'm reviewing Bride of Chucky, and tomorrow, I normally don't do videos on Saturdays, but I'll say fuck it. I'm gonna do the Nightmare ranking. And before I start this review, I'm just gonna kind of go into what I'm gonna do next week. Monday, well, tomorrow is the Nightmare ranking, which I was supposed to do today, but I'm gonna do it tomorrow. Monday, I'm gonna do Seed of Chucky, and then Tuesday I'm reviewing her. So the next two reviews will be Chucky reviews. Then Wednesday I'm reviewing Scream 1. Thursday I'm gonna do, since I did horror soundtracks this week, I'm gonna do soundtracks again, but just in general. And I might make it more than 5 because there's just too many soundtracks that I can name. So it might be more than 5. At most it'll be like 10. And then Friday I'll meet one or two videos is gonna be next week will either be I'm ranking all the Jason actors, and that one I will include Freddy vs. Jason. Or I'm not it's not necessarily the actors. I'm gonna be more ranking the Jasons, not necessarily the actor. It's like ranking the Jasons from which film do I think is better than and or the other option is Scream 2. So that's next week. So today we are reviewing Bride of Chucky. This film came out in 1998, so 7 years after Child's Play 3. And I love Chucky's look in Bride and Seed. Even if I don't necessarily love Seed as a movie, which I will get to, and it's not gonna be a rain. I think Seed is like, it's kind of, it's at least you can watch it, but it is not a good. I wouldn't call it a good movie. But I like Chucky's look. I love the whole like staple look he has. And this film introduces Tiffany, who's Chucky's lover, who so it gives you more backstory on Chucky. And this is the film that kind of kicks off where they kind of veer away from the Andy Barkley storyline, which I think was a good idea because we already did that for 3 straight films. Like he comes back to get Andy again. Let's do something different. Like I said, I mentioned the soundtrack's fucking amazing. Hold on, loud helicopter. Give me a second. All right, I'll keep going. But yeah, so like as I mentioned, the soundtrack's really good. You have a few Rob Zombie in there, but overall, it's an awesome movie. I think this is like, and I'm gonna do a Chucky ranking when I eventually finish the franchise. This would be like, I think third. This will be third place. I really like this movie. So, the film kicks off. You have a little Easter egg, and we're at a prison, and you have like little Easter eggs of like you have a Michael mask, a hockey mask, Freddy's gloves. So almost like little Easter eggs to other horror franchises. That was kind of cool. A cop brings the remains of Chucky, which are were damaged, destroyed at the end of Child's Play 3. So yeah, all the Child's Play films are still canon. It's just they're not necessarily mentioned. Um, and also I should mention that this one is still it's not necessarily scary anymore. You have more like humor. I think they go a little bit overboard in Seed, where it's straight up a parody almost. Whereas this one is like it teeters the line where there are some genuine good kills, and it's still like, it still tries to be a little bit scary. But you also have the humor. So we're introduced to Tiffany, played by Jennifer Tilly, who we also know her as the voice of Bonnie in not American Dad, Family Guy. She kills the cop who gave her the Chucky's body. She takes it, and this is where you have the awesome intro with the Living Dead girl playing. Then she gets different parts of a doll, puts it back together, stitches Chucky back together. She tries to perform the voodoo ritual, nothing happens. Then some admirer who's like this goth guy, played by Alexis Arquette. Um, he's looking to hook up with her. It's like it's kind of like a dominatrix type of thing, and she scolds him. Then she notices Chucky still actually moved because the doll was gone. She finds the doll. She tells him to lie on the bed. He's like handcuffed. Then Chucky pretty much kills him, and it was a cool little way, like because he puts a doll on him, and then the guy says some shit, and then Chucky's like turns his head around, and then because I think it was like something about it was about his dick size. It was a joke about that. So Chucky kills him by he pulls out like his like a piercing lip piercing. It was pretty brutal, and then he smothers him. Then we are now introduced to our protagonist, named I'm trying to find the girl's name. She was played by Jade, played by fuck, what's her name? I'll find it. Sorry, I hate doing this in videos. Katherine Heigl. There you go. I remember the name now. So Katherine Heigl, so she fakes going on a date with this dude so she can date her actual boyfriend Jesse, but then she gets stopped by her uncle, played by John Ritter, who basically he's a bad cop and abusing his power to be, boss of Jade and stuff. So, so there's that. Then Tiffany finds a ring, thinking Chucky was using it to propose to her, but he was gonna pawn it off, and laughs at the thought of getting married. So she locks him away. Then she angrily goes to bed and has like this kind of badass song. Like throughout the film, you got some like good metal songs playing. So the next day, Chucky gets out of the thing he was locked in, while Tiffany's taking a bath watching Bride of Frankenstein. Little Easter egg there because it's called Bride of Chucky. So Chucky kills her by throwing the TV into the bathtub of it, and he performs the ritual, transporting her soul to a doll. And so that happens, and we're introduced to Tiffany in doll form. I overall like the character of Tiffany. I like their dynamic. Um, so they devise a plan that the amulet. This is a bit of a continuity error because many films he had the amulet when he was a doll, but for some reason it was buried with him when he died, even though at least in one or two he had the amulet. But whatever. Whatever. It's a Chucky movie. I can kind of get over little continuity errors like that. So Chucky devises a plan. So Tiffany uses Jesse and offers to pay basically $1,000 to transport the dolls to Hackensack, New Jersey. So Jesse goes to Jade and pretty much says to get married, and they run off. While they run inside, John Ritter investigates the truck, and he plants weed on the in the van so he can get caught later. But then Chucky kills him with the nails. They bury the body. Then they proceed to leave for that's the other thing about this movie. It's pretty good pacing. Like it gets to the plot quickly. So they drive the van, but then immediately get stopped by the other cop that her uncle was getting paid by. So the officer stops them, and then there's a quick little funny scene of Chucky smoking weed, which I'm gonna do now. So Jade goes into the store because she snapped at the officer. So the officer investigates the van, and he was about to look in where they buried the officer's body. So Chucky throws the bag of weed. It's found. The cop kind of slams Jesse on the van. Then he proceeds to go in his car, basically about to book him. Chucky gets out, and then you have a kind of a funny scene of the stoner smoking in the car, and he just sees Chucky, and Chucky just flips him off. He puts gasoline filled like it looks like a shirt with gasoline, and Chucky lights it and basically puts it in the oil, and boom. So the car blows up. Jade and Jesse drive away. This is where, and I also like the little element of them not trusting each other. I will say the one weak aspect is not super weak. The characters I don't really care for, like the main, like Jesse and Jade, I'm mad on, and they basically they're starting to get blamed for the murders um, that happened. So they kind of start not. I do like that element, but I do maybe it was that actress. I think Katherine Heigl just I think she's fine in other movies that I've seen her in. She doesn't fit horror. And I understand this film is not full on horror, but it's still like I just don't think she fits. I think if maybe she was played by somebody else. But like I said, it's tolerable. I still watch this movie. It doesn't bother me. Just a little criticism. So they still decide to get married. They stop at a little church um, and get married. And this is where, while this is happening, you have a scene of Chucky kind of apologizing for everything. And you have a cool scene of also of Chucky listening to music, kind of toying. I'm like, oh, the music's gone to shit. And then they play Thundercase 65 for a second by White Zombie. So this is, like I said, the soundtrack is amazing. So John Ritter isn't fully dead, so Chucky basically just stabs the shit out of him, kills him, while Jade and Jesse get married. And you can see like the doubt in their eyes still. So they go to a hotel, and they find a pair of swingers who are also thieves. Uh, Tiffany notices one of the swingers stole like a wallet. So Tiffany, while the swingers were having sex, and there's like this kind of cool scene where, because they're in this bed and they look up, there's like a giant mirror, and they look down. Tiffany's there, and she throws basically a glass bottle at the mirror, and it breaks, and all the glass falls on them. It's pretty brutal death, to be honest. They don't hold back on the kills in this movie, like at all. And then Chucky walks in, and then basically he rips off the ring off one of the swingers and proposes to Tiffany, and they have sex, and they make it. And then and I'll admit this part was pretty funny. It was. I don't know if I necessarily want to see Chucky having. You don't see it, but you see it like in a shadow. I don't know if I necessarily needed to see that, but you had a funny line. Like Tiffany asked you if he had a rubber, and he's like, "I'm all rubber." It was pretty funny. So the next day, a maid goes into the swingers room, but she finds the body. So Jesse and Jade leave, and get back in the truck, and they are met by their friend, who they throughout the film talk to, and he initially makes them feel better, but he starts smelling the body. He finds it, puts a gun to both Jade and Jesse. They try to frame each other, but then Chucky and because they bring over like a cop. This death was pretty brutal, and Chucky reveals himself to everyone. The friend basically gets startled and gets out of the car and basically gets ran over by a truck. And then there's a little chase where they're being chased by cops, and Chucky and Tiffany shoot the car and cause an accident. They steal a van from a family. And then you have a kind of a funny scene where Chucky mentions, like, they learn of who he is, and he's like, his story like will have to be like multiple sequels. So like a little bit of the meta humor there. So Jesse and Jay decide to like devise a plan where they basically try to pit Tiffany and Chucky against each other. like I think Jade tries to basically push that Chucky isn't appreciative of, you know, Tiffany, and then yeah, they basically yeah, and he says that Tiffany isn't a homemaker, so they try to turn them against each other. They start arguing. RV crashes. Tiffany gets locked into an oven, and then they crash, but Jade gets put taken by Chucky. He finds the he finds the grave, exhumes it. He orders her to open the grave. Tiffany turns on him when they think they have the upper hand. Then Chucky pretty much stabs her and knocks Chucky into the grave. So Jesse gets a shovel, knocks him into the grave, and Chucky gets shot. Then there's a scene of Tiffany, basically a baby coming out, which implies there's gonna be another film. I overall love this movie. This film is my favorite, one of my favorites in the franchise, and I think this is one I would advise everybody to watch. I think it's a fun film. It's much more lighthearted compared to the first three. Um, I'd also say like you had some good Chucky quotes. I think Tiffany's a good character. I more care for Chucky and Tiffany in this. I'll say it. Jade and Jesse were okay. Like I said, everyone was serviceable in their roles. John Witter was just an asshole dad or uncle. That's really all he was in this. He didn't do a lot. And the friend was just there to say both of you are crazy. Like kind of it, But the movie is serviceable, and I would say watch it. Out of 10, I'd give it like I gave. I think I gave Child's Play 3 like a 7, so I give this one like an 8 or 8.5. I think this one's really good, and this is what my. If you gotta say my go-tos, the first three, then this one. Um, and overall, I've always said, and you're gonna see this in my review, I think Chucky's largely consistent. I think the only kind of bad one is Seed, but Seed's not unwatchable. You can watch it as like if you accept it as a parody. You don't accept it as a legitimate Chucky film. You accept it as kind of a parody. Then you know what? It's watchable. So it's not like I overall say largely the Chucky franchise is pretty good. There's not one where I'm like I'm gonna rant on it like there's no Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 or Freddy's Dead or Jason Goes to Hell of this franchise. Largely Chucky movies have been good, and this one's really good. So that's pretty much all I gotta say. Watch Bride of Chucky if you wanna if you get into the franchise. Take one more hit. Peace out. All right, good. I'll talk to you guys next time. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace.